Hey, look at that. It worked. Thank you, Denise.
We are using the lovely, whatever this is called.
The little tripod thing
Yes.
for my cell phone with a remote. Ooh.
From Denise and Alana, I believe. So.
Yeah, we had to turn the lights down because it was too bright.
Yeah, and then it wasn't bright enough to not have any of the other lights on, though, because we are coming to you live from our
bedroom.
And there's no half lights. It's all or nothing, man.
I can turn these lights on.
Yeah, but that's not going to help. That actually would be worse. So.
Anyway, now that we're doing whatever it is we're doing.
What are we doing?
I don't know.
Well, why don't you give an update of what's going on this week?
This week. Last week.
Yeah, as in what just happened.
I did firewood today for a little bit. Did firewood yesterday for a little bit.
I did firewood a little bit last week.
Didn't do any firewood last week,
No?
did I?
I thought you did. I thought you and Clint did. Got a row and a half left.
I don't know. That was last week. Actually, we got less than that now.
Yeah.
And there's going to be...
There's a whole row.
There's a full row and then maybe a third. Maybe.
I don't know. I didn't take pictures of that.
I don't know. But anyway, we'd have gotten more done, but Clint got some sawdust in his eyes.
It was very windy.
And he went inside and didn't come back.
He still has a red eye. Kind of feel bad.
He'll survive. It's only sawdust. It'll come out in the morning. He'll have some nasty, crusty stuff, and he'll be good to go.
Right?
We went to Wausau on Friday, and we saw a couple of new doctors.
Three doctors total, right? Three?
Yeah. One reoccurring doctor and two new ones.
Yeah.
So, the rheumatologist lady was interesting but good. So,
I wasn't sure I liked her at first. I'm just being honest. I was like, because...
She's one of those doctors that knows a lot, has no bedside manner, and basically tells you how it is, which is great.
Yeah, but that wasn't the issue. The issue at first was the information she had was kind of skewed in, it didn't make sense to her, and then she's asking questions, and I'm telling her stuff, and she's like, no, that's not right, and I'm like, no, I'm telling you, this is what we've been doing, because this is what we were told, and she was like, oh, no, wait, that's wrong.
Yep, so we did that. They're going to do, a couple of blood tests here.
I had x-rays done of my feet and hands. So she actually doesn't actually believe that I have RA, which is, praise God. The way things work is that because I was diagnosed with the PTLD, which is the post-transplant lymphoma disease, that when you have any form of lymphoma, it actually causes your RA markers. It actually shows as RA. But then when you are exactly, in other words,
the markers are the same.
The markers are the same. So if you do a rheumatoid factor blood work test, whether you have RA or lymphoma, it's going to show positive.
Same thing.
And so she was really confused that the RA diagnosis came first, and then several months later they found out that there was a lymphoma. And she said, basically, when they found the lymphoma, they should have gotten rid of the RA diagnosis and searched out other reasons why certain things were happening, because everything that my previous doctors all stated pointed to RA. To her, it all just points lymphoma.
Yep.
And there are other things that can come into play with lymphoma that they should have addressed them, and they were never addressed. And so she's like, I really don't think you have RA. I want to do these tests, and I want to try this, and I want to do that. And she's like, I think that I'm already on certain medications, that she was like, I think if they were giving you appropriate doses of those medications, you wouldn't have these issues. So we're just going to...
And you sleep.
And yes, and sleeping. She was really surprised that they didn't address any sleeping issues that I have. When I was like 16 or 17, I was diagnosed with insomnia. And I don't want to say I just dealt with it. It wasn't that. It wasn't like I was like, oh yeah, I have this. It was, I was diagnosed with it. And so I was like, okay. And I dealt with it. You know, I still always believe and thank God that I am healed. And I know where to put my faith in. But when there's no one's telling you how to address this or what you can do to make things better, you know, I was always looking at natural things, natural ways to help with this or with that. And I would rather do that than medication. But I wasn't given any options. And so I was just kind of doing it with me and God. And to have a doctor who is very much, I don't want to give you more medications. I want to address what you have.
Figure out what's actually wrong.
Yeah, figure out what's wrong instead of just treating symptoms, which is what basically
East Coast medicine does. Just say it. East Coast medicine just...
Well, no, you said it. You said it before. A healed patient is lost revenue.
Yep.
And that's a very big East Coast thing. It's always, you have a problem, let's medicate it. Where out here we have just found from first doctors we saw a PCP to begin with, and he was like, hey, let's just figure out what's wrong before we try and treat all this stuff. And that was a big difference to us because, and I've had to say no to a lot of medications back east.
And the OB guy.
Yep. They wanted me to have a hysterectomy back east. They were like, this is what we want. Yep, this is going to solve all your problems. And then come out here, and he's like,
That'll make it worse.
It's
That's an unnecessary...
You know, it'll cause...
Parts.
Yeah, and he was like, if you do this, then you might stop this problem.
I gotta go blow my nose. I'll be right back.
Okay.
You're on your own.
It might solve this problem, like this one problem, but he's like, you're going to have all of these other issues that are going to arise that you then have to address. And if you have these issues, you know, medication is about the only way you're going to address these issues. So it's different medicine out here. It's very much, don't fix it if it's not broke. We don't want to do stuff that's going to cause any other issues. You know, he basically told me if you can make this work and you're okay with it, it's tolerable, then we should go with it because it is going to go away. These issues will go away, you know, and as long as you're not in agonizing pain and you can still deal with it, he's like, you should just deal with it till it's done doing that part of it. And we'd never heard that before. Just like with the rheumatologist, she was like, I don't see where they're saying that you have RA. She's like, they should have been looking into what is causing these issues once. She's like, because you had that RA test done, the rheumatoid factor, and she's like, if you have lymphoma, it triggers a rheumatoid. It's going to be positive anyways because that's what lymphoma does. And then she said, you could have lymphoma in your joints. You can have it it doesn't have to just be in your lymph nodes. Lymphoma affects a myriad of parts of your body. It's not just one thing. It isn't just swollen lymph nodes. It can cause your joints to swell. It can cause pain and whatnot. Thank you. In other areas of your body. And so she's like, I think we need to figure out if we need to address these other things and find out, we're going to do this and see if this is the issue. And she just has this laundry list of things. She goes, we're going to go down this list and see if we can find in this whole laundry list of things that it could be outside of RA that are far more treatable, because RA is kind of like, you're stuck and screw you. You're stuck with this and there's nothing we can do. And she's like, there is this laundry list of other things that could be that are all completely treatable, and some things are as simple as getting a better night's sleep.
Well, the sleep will help your body heal.
Right, and if you can have a good night's sleep, then it helps. A rested body will heal. And so she, has already started guiding me in areas. She's like, you already take this medication. Well, you should be taking a therapeutic dose. And you already take this medication, and why don't you do this, And I was just told so many different things. I was told, I could have taken lots of different medications that they wanted to prescribe me for sleeping. I didn't want any of them. Mm-hmm. And then the medications that actually helped me sleep, they're like, oh, you can't take that. You can't take that all the time. And it was hilarious listening to her, because I'm like, she's like, so why don't you do this with this medication? And I'm like, well, because I was told I can't. And she looked at me like I had 6 heads. She's like, what? She's like, this isn't a permanent fix. She goes, this is a treatment plan to fix your body.
Yeah. And basically, she wants you to be able to get into a sleep routine. No screen time an hour before bed. Don't eat certain stuff.
And then the whole, one of the things that she said to do is something that we did for, I did for probably 2 straight years, is a journal of, not the sleep journal part, but the journal of what you do every day and then how you feel the next day, or how you feel after you've done these things. And that's supposed to help you figure out, oh, well, don't do that if it triggers this or that. And in the 2 years that we were doing that, there was no rhyme or reason. I could do this, this, and this and be fine, and then out of the blue, I could do it and it wouldn't be good. But yet, 8 times previous I did it and there was no issue, and then the next 8 times I did it, there wasn't there was no, oh yeah, this causes it to do this. Mm-hmm. And she's like, well, I'd like to see, if you can do that. I'd like, she's like,
that one med, she's going to jump you up every week or so.
Yeah, but again, I had mentioned that earlier, that's a medication that I'm already taking, but I'm not taking
an appropriate dose.
Yeah, a therapeutic dose, which means it's actually doing something for me. So she didn't understand why I'm on certain medications, that they weren't having me on the appropriate dosing to eliminate issues. Instead, it was almost like she's like, I don't understand why you're taking it if there's no...
Yep, no point.
There's no... The dose that they had me at was not an appropriate dose to do anything. And of course, and then there was that same medication. We had told her, well, they used to have me just take it when I would have the chemo, and then I wouldn't take it. I'd take it for like a month after chemo. And she goes, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because she's like that, and she goes, that makes no sense. And I'm like, but those were the things that she was telling me, like she was telling us, that's not how, like, I don't understand this isn't how this works. And I'm like, no, I'm telling you this is, because she was telling us that's not how you do things, and that's not how the medical field works. And I'm like, I'm telling you, this is what they were having me do. This is what I did. Because the information she had didn't, like, from the doctors, was very skewed. And even once she actually realized, oh, what she was reading was actually what was happening, because I was telling her this is what was going on.
Morons.
Like, this is what I was doing. This is what they had me doing. And it was what was in the paperwork. She says the paperwork didn't make sense. The medical records didn't make sense because, according to her, that's not how it works. And so she thought something like I was doing it, and that, I wasn't doing what I was being told to do, and that's why we were doing it that way. And I'm like, I didn't know there was another way to do it. Like, I've never been told. I would love to do it differently. And that were things that we did know, like a dosing for RA is a different size dosing than it is for lymphoma, which we knew. The difference is that for some reason the time frame was completely different. She said normally it's a normal regimen is like a 4 month, every 4 months, and it's a significantly larger dose.
Yep.
What I was doing was a significantly smaller dose every 3 months.
Yep.
Even the dosage that was on there that I was having, she said the rheumatoid, dosing, it was still less than what they would normally do, what she would suggest doing. Like the higher dose that I was getting for the RA isn't high enough, was basically what she was saying. And I'm like, no, this wasn't because it was something I chose to do, because I don't know anything. I'm going by my doctors are stating this is how it's done, so that's what we did.
Yep. So anyway, that went well. The dermatology appointment went well. I didn't find anything like normal, so.
Yeah, that's always.
And they want her to stay pasty white, so.
Yeah.
No sun for you.
I have a very good tan line. It's just white to slightly less white.
Yeah. You don't look like a Mexican like Tristan. We know. You might as well be
I might look like a European like you.
You might as well just be a redhead with how white you are.
You first.
I tan up real nice.
On your arms. You'd blind people if you take your shirt off.
No.
Oh, sorry. You're so hairy that...
Yeah, the sun doesn't get through.
Poor Cindy, the first time she saw him walking back from the bathroom. Right? She's like, oh!
Ooh, ugly.
She's like, I know you said he was hairy, but I didn't realize he was that hair. Yep.
You good now? Do you need a moment?
Okay, Chewbacca. I'm good now.
Good.
Okay.
Are you done?
Just go on and I'll eventually
If I could figure out how to pause it, I'd pause it and slap you and unpause it.
Oh, you don't have that ability with this remote?
No, I think if I hit the button, it'll stop it, and I don't want to go through that 18 minutes again.
All right.
So anyway, we've been doing firewood since the last video. I got my trapping license. Billie-Sue's almost done, and so is Clint.
I'm on my test. I think Clint has one more left to do.
So we're almost done with that. Hunting season's been
just
going
around
on.
the corner. Well, for what we would hunt for.
Deer season's the week of Thanksgiving, and that's it. We're learning more and more stuff about being out here. We're going to have to find some farmers with some, I forget what they're called.
The doe tags?
No, they're crop.
Oh, that one.
Because farmers they survey stuff, fields, and then they give farmers a number of, I want to say they're called kill tags, but I don't think that's what they're actually called, but basically they give farmers tags for deer, bear, stuff like that. So, yeah, find some farmers for that. I've been scouting out for beaver, and some other stuff.
There's a good amount of area not far from here that is great for trapping. We did
and
go.
And then, as time goes on, we'll get to meet some of the farmers in the area so we can trap critters off the corn, because there's a lot of corn around here. Even like abandoned farms, abandoned homestead type deals. But anyway, the real reason we're here is to bring you happiness and joy.
we are here because God called us to come here. And we are doing this because God said, share everything that I have done for you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we are doing this. Because,
I'll keep the other comments to myself. I'm too ugly for OnlyFans.
Personally, if I had to choose, I would not be in front of this camera.
You wouldn't be sitting here on a couch in front of a phone with 2 lights staring at you?
I would not be in front of a camera. No, because my own personal person is like, you're not good enough for that. You didn't go to school for that. You don't have a right because, for whatever reason, it could be, brought up. But God didn't call everybody to go to Bible college. He called everybody to
witness.
To witness and to share.
And so far, we have not witnessed any crimes out here.
Gosh.
Witnessed some interesting stuff, but no crimes yet.
You've made friends.
Well, yeah, I'm out and about. I've made friends at works.
I've got Sydney. She's my friend. I've got a couple friends at church. I am proud to call Rachel my friend. Hi, Rachel, if you watch this. She's like the only person I know outside of church. Otherwise, all my friends are technically just your friends. Clint has great connections through you. Clint was able to get a hold of some ground cherries.
Or husk tomatoes.
Or husk tomatoes.
Or whatever you all call them. But they're pretty tasty.
Yeah, they're... Okay, Tristan bit into one and he goes, well, that's a weird taste. And he goes, kind of tastes like Christmas. What does Christmas taste like? It tastes like Christmas.
So basically, there are these little things in a husk. So they grow like tomatoes. And then when they fall to the ground, typically they're ripe.
They're ready, yeah.
And you peel off this little paper thing, and it's like a cherry.
And they're like an orangey yellow.
Yep. The green ones ain't ripe yet, and they'll ripen up because we got a little quart container that's just about full of green ones. They'll should be pretty good. But, so he made some stuff out of that last week.
He made jam.
And then we were able to get another flat, pretty much the last of it for the year.
He just didn't want to sell something he only had 6 jars of. At least if he can have something where he has a flat of it, at least, 12 jars, he feels like he can provide it for a little bit of time.
Yep. So basically, through me, I can get him just about anything he wants. Because I got connections in the produce world out here, which probably sounds pretty lame, but...
It's something.
Yeah. It's not throwaway pieces, but we're close. Produce. Probably.
Yeah. I showed the video. I did the video of Clint's freezer being completely chock full.
Yeah, last weekend we got a half bushel of jalapenos for $5. Where can you go wrong for that? So there's that, and we got 2 massive pumpkins at cost today. They're big old jack-o'-lantern pumpkins. So it pays to know people. And
we got we rolled up, and I'm like, you got any big pumpkins? Big pumpkins. And he pulls one out, and I'm like, yeah. And then I'm like, probably should get a second one. Because my thought was, I was getting it for Sydney. It wasn't I wasn't thinking of anybody else. I'm over here going, I'm going to get her this big pumpkin that she can decorate and do whatever she wants with. I'm like, oh, I probably should get one for Clint. Yeah, we'll get one for Clint. And then Clint's like, this is cool. And then he's like, I don't want to to cut it open. I don't want to do that. And Tristan was like, Clint doesn't want to do that. I'm like, well, ask him. And Clint's like, yeah, you can do that. You can go ahead. And so I will, I don't know, I could put the pictures up.
You can.
I mean, I can open it up and be like, look at the pumpkin size. But, you know.
So at some point we'll actually...
There! See, big pumpkins. That's the back of the Tahoe. So, and that's a tote right next to it. It says big pumpkin. Those are the 2 biggest pumpkins.
Someday we'll figure out how to edit videos on the computer. But right now, what you see is
what you're getting.
What we did. There's no second takes unless I screw up in the first 2 or 3 minutes.
And then even when we do start going live, I mean, come on, we're live. You can't. It happens. We're just.
Yeah.
This is us. This is very tangible. Is what we want it to be.
Probably won't have any wardrobe malfunctions.
What?
Never mind. That one went over your head.
It did.
You'll get that on the way home. But anyway, the real reason we're here is so Billie-Sue can talk for about a half hour before we have to stop it and start another one. Although we can try.
Oh no, because I can put them up.
Yeah.
I can put them up.
You gotta transfer. We gotta transfer them to her phone, and then she can upload it. So I guess you can talk as long as you want.
Well, last time Scott did his testimony.
Yeah, and it was 2 hours and
40 minutes. Yeah.
And my phone just wouldn't upload it, so I had to do the wire
phone to phone. Yep, phone to phone.
Phone transfer to her, and then it went up in like an hour.
Less than that. It was like 42 minutes.
I tried for a week. So, anyway.
I have been talking to God about this and praying and trying to make sure that I say that I grew up in God. Like I've never known life without God. And I remember the day that I, asked Jesus into my heart. I was like 6 years old, sitting on the bed in the house we grew up in Chichester, in the blue room, which is the end of the hall room. And I remember that. And
should have brought a drink with me. Just keep talking.
And here's mine.
Oh, I don't know if I want to share with you.
You've been drinking out of it all day.
So I felt a little buzzed earlier.
Are you good now?
Probably not, but we'll go from there. What?
So basically, I grew up in a Christian home. My mom, single mom, 3 girls. I'm the youngest. I have 2 older sisters. And in my book of what I remember, we didn't have everything we ever wanted. We didn't have everything all the time. We never went without. We had little, but my whole life was God provided, God provided, God provided. So, and I'm just going to step through on things. So clearly when, I grew up in church, went to church, met Scott, going to the church that he, as stated before, was like, didn't really care for that church. But I, basically from 13 years old until we left, that's where I went. And I had a lot of, I don't even want to say a lot of friends there. I had a lot of experiences there with God. And then I knew that when I met him, literally I met him and God was like, it's him. And I was like, okay. So I knew he was the one, even though
I didn't.
Well, it wasn't even that. There was so many people that told me that
you don't want that ugly guy with the beard.
Well, that either he's a bad.
Long either back then.
Either he was a bad boy, and that's why I was attracted to him, or he was something that I had a lot of people just were very...
Not just people, your own family.
Well, when I say people, that's really what I meant. My mom never was like, you cannot date him. He's bad news. She never said anything to me. Even my dad never said, I don't like him. It was other family members, aunts, uncles, siblings. So that were very, this isn't, you don't know what you're doing. I had a lot of experiences with people that were not overly nice about me dating Scott. And even when we got engaged, there were a lot of family members who were...
Because I didn't go to church, so I wasn't cool. I didn't fit into that cliquey crowd.
There was a lot of family members who said the only reason that we were dating was because Kelly, my older sister, was dating, and then we got engaged, and the only reason we got engaged was because Kelly got married, and then...
That's a poor reason. That's right up there with, let's have another kid to save our marriage.
So, I mean, I had so many people telling me such inappropriate things about my own life, and
they didn't even know me.
And that was, they didn't know him as a person. They just looked kind of sort of, you're not making a right decision. Again, now my mom was never, you can't date him, or he's bad for you, and my dad was, my dad just said to me, does he make you happy? So when I told my dad that we were getting married, he goes, does he make you happy? Yeah, then I am happy for you, because that's all that mattered. That's all that mattered to my dad, was that he took care of me. And so...
I don't take care of you good enough, because you're still here.
And so, when...
That was funny, come on!
So, when we found out... Now, there's a lot of people who know, there's a lot of people that don't. We never intended to have Tristan as soon as we did. Like,
No.
We tried...
We wanted to move to Montana.
We tried to not have him as much as possible. And what I mean by that is we were on every bit of no-ness for having a child. Birth control, everything that you're supposed to do to not have children, we were doing to not have children outside of the one thing that actually causes children. But it wasn't an intended thing. We didn't want to have a child right off the bat. So when I found out I was pregnant for Tristan, I was petrified. And I didn't want to tell anybody, because everybody kept telling me, like, probably weeks after we got married, oh, you're going to have a baby because your sister's pregnant. We wanted to move. We wanted to have a little bit of life before we had a child. And so it was not intended for us to have Tristan as young as we were. What?
Live alone.
Yeah. So I know that Scott touched on when Tristan was like 18 months old and he got really sick. And was my mom living with us at that time? Yeah, right? Yeah.
Probably.
And I just remember he hadn't been feeling great.
I think so.
And...
I don't know, that was 20-something years ago.
Yeah.
The details are a little fuzzy.
So he hadn't been feeling good, and I, had believed and prayed that, he was fine, and he was healed in Jesus' name. And I do not know certain things. I didn't know certain things then that I do know now. Like, clearly, the way you pray as you grow and mature will change as you grow and mature. And you learn what the Bible says, and you will pray different ways based off of what you know. I'm sorry, what?
None.
Oh. So, at that time, I was doing the best I could with what I knew. And it was weird. My mom had either she had come over or she had just showed up. I just remember I didn't have a vehicle that day. I don't know if it was one was in the garage or
we were
something.
poor at that time.
I don't remember that. Like why I didn't. Yeah, I didn't. Why I didn't have a vehicle. But my mom had either come over or she'd come home, and I was just like,
"Mom using it?"
She could have been. I don't know. Although she had her own vehicle too, or hers could have been in the garage. I don't know. Anyways, was that she had showed up, and I was just like, he's really not doing good. I'm kind of concerned. He was starting to turn he was shaking a lot and was very lethargic. And I was just like, I really need to do something here. Something's wrong. I need to take him to the hospital. And so she drove me with him to the hospital. And probably as we pulled into the parking lot, I couldn't feel him or hear him breathing. It was like he was so shallow breathing that I literally thought he was dead in my arms. And she didn't park. She pulled out to the emergency room, doors, and I went in. And I do remember that tells you how it's ingrained in my head. I walked in, and a lady literally says to me, she's like, "You can't come over here. What are you doing?" And I looked at her and I just said, "He's not breathing." I mean, he was blue. And the look on her face was pure like, crap, I can't believe I just yelled at you for coming in here. And she grabbed him from me and ran through these doors. And so I'm just like following her, and she's spouting off all this stuff. And my mom had parked and come in, and there were a lot of things that I just couldn't articulate. I couldn't get anything out. And if it tells you what I grew up in, my mom went in. I couldn't go in with him. I was crying and too hysterical. My mom went into the room with him, and she prayed for him. She was praying for Tristan while they were putting an IV in him and, taking blood work and doing all this stuff. She was the one in there, not me. I was a blubbering idiot in the hallway, crying. And I remember hearing her praying while I can hear everybody else talking. I couldn't tell you what she said, but I mean, that's what I grew up with. I grew up with a mom that just stepped into it, in the sense like, if you were sick, and I don't know about my sisters, and I'm not going to say I know what they remember. What I remember is if I was sick or if I needed something, my mom never hesitated. She just immediately would take authority. She immediately would, put the angels into action and spoke the word over me, or in the situation or what it was. So I kind of, not that I felt I failed, but I felt like I had somebody at that moment to carry me. Because faith-wise, I thought I was prepared, and that's when I learned I really didn't have as much knowledge as I thought I did. I thought I was well-knowledged. But then I realized I only had like 2 scriptures I was quoting, and only 2 scriptures that I was putting into action. And, I mean, as, had Scott stated, clearly Tristan's still here. So, he was in the hospital for a few days, but from the moment he was, admitted to the hospital, I think he was there, would we say 3 or 4 days?
Yeah, I don't remember. He was there for a couple days.
And from when he was admitted to them going, nearly lifeless, to them just trying to figure out, they're thinking it's all of these things, and they do all these tests, and by the time all the tests come back, there was nothing wrong with him. Nothing. And they were like, this is impossible. Clearly something is majorly wrong with him. And it took a lot of, well, it didn't take all, it took all of the doctors and us, Scott and I, with our
the King's Horses and all the King's Time.
and our PCP at the time, to talk and figure out what could have happened. And that's when we, found out it was, he had an intestinal, basically they called it an intestinal disease, and he's lactose intolerant. But he comes through that. And from the time that they, put us in a room, and the crying has stopped, and here I am. Now I'm just praying inwardly, because I heard my mother, and I heard her praying, and I was just linking my spirit up with that, going, yes, yes, Lord, yes, because that's what I knew, is I know that when you're going through something, having someone to be able to join faith with is a life changer, to have that ability to go, okay, well, I need someone who's an encouragement to help. And that was what my mom was at that time. And I remember being in that room and just, Tristan has IVs in his feet. I remember the IV in his foot. Because that's the only place they could find to even put anything in him, was in his foot. I mean, they did a spinal tap, and they took blood work after blood work after blood work after. Oh, I mean, all I could think of is, they're going to leave any for him? Because I remember, they did cultures too. That was the first time I'd ever heard of cultures. Or just like blood, or blood cultures. I knew what a culture was, but like blood cultures, where they have these glass bottles.
Relax culture, if anybody's wondering.
What? What?
Yeah, another one you get on the way home.
I know, I got what you said. I'm just saying, why? What?
Because it was funny.
I didn't do this to you when you were telling yours.
That's because you're not as quick as I am with the company.
It's got nothing to do with quick. I had lots of stuff to say. I just didn't.
Fine, I'll just sit here.
I was being respectful.
I'll just sit here and look pretty and let you talk. Next.
Why did you do that to me? Where was that? Oh, the blood cultures. And so, like I said, he was in the hospital, a few days, and then it didn't change my faith. I knew God was going to do what God does. I knew he was going to be okay, but I didn't know he was going to be like, I knew he'd be okay, but it was from my mother's faith. It wasn't like I knew that he was
riding the coattails.
And so, from there, it was for me a more need to get into a better church. That's when we sought out a different church, because you need to be taught, and you have to know. And if it's not being taught, you don't know. So I would have to say we did. To me, everything was generally okay. For me, I'm not Scott. I didn't have the issues and the things that he had to work out. My faith has always been there.
Oh, so you're better than me, I see.
No, my faith has just been there because I grew up in it. Didn't you hear what I just said? My mother! So when it came time for Clint, that's when things kind of changed for me. I know that some people know this. When I was pregnant for Clint, it was in February, because Clint was born in March. It was in February sometime.
So you didn't have any issues or changing events in between?
Should I have?
I don't know. I'm just asking you.
No, it was...
You're a happy family.
As happy as we would be with the way you were. I always believed that always believed that you would be the man that God has called you to be back then, even...
Yeah, but I'm slow.
So, again, when it came time for Clint, there was a time, it was in February, before, I want to say 5-6 weeks before Clint was born. We were in bed, we were sleeping, and I woke up.
Well, some of us were sleeping.
I woke up, you were sleeping, very sleeping. I woke up, and of course, it being wintertime in New England, for some reason, I was just like, oh, it must have snowed, because I heard what I thought was a plow starting to come down the road. And I'm like, I didn't know it was going to snow like that. I didn't know it had snowed. And I'm sitting in bed. I had sat up because I'm pregnant. And I see this yellow flashy light out our window. And the way that it works is like if this was the bed, there was maybe 2 feet and then it was a wall. Because it's where it was at the time. The windows upstairs in the Tuftonboro house.
Which side of the room we have the bed on at that point?
You had put the wall in, and the bed was here. So it was like this.
Which wall was that?
The wall you built in the middle of the room. You came in the door, windows. You put the wall in, pipe to the.
Oh,
okay?
Yeah, I don't really remember.
The bed was here, and this was windows. So I'm here, and I can see like a flashy light out the window. And I'm like, yellow flashy light. I wonder what that is. Then I'm thinking it's gonna be the plow, like a plow truck, because I can feel the rumbling and hear it. But as it comes, it's really starting to shake the house, and it's really
the
rumbling.
plow shook the house. If y'all know where we used to live, any of you been there?
Yeah, but it shook the house when it was next to the house. This was off in the distance. It was past the old lady's house. Just as you come around the corner, like clearly you just see a little flashy light. And the ground was rumbly. And I'm like, and I'm looking, and it was going very, very slow. But the rumbling and the shaking was getting louder and louder and very significant. And I look, and I'm like, what is that? And as I could see it through the trees. So as it passed our next door neighbor's house, I could see down the center of the road. And it was no snow. I mean, it had snowed, but it wasn't like there was snow. I could see it was a tank with a yellow flashy light on top. Like, that's not. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm trying to wake him up now. And I'm pushing him, and he's snoring away, and I'm pushing him, and I'm like literally surprised he didn't have bruises on him. I'm hitting him, and I'm pushing him, and he's...
I have scars. You want to see them? I'll take my shirt off.
Oh, please, save us. And it wasn't fast. It was very slow. And the whole house is shaking, and I can hear things on the walls shaking, and I can see stuff moving. And this is shaking the curtains. They weren't curtains, they were blinds. And they're like banging on the windows. And I'm like seeing this tank with a little flashing yellow light coming down the road.
Yep, the Russians are invading Tuftonboro.
And I stand up, and I'm in front of the window, and I literally am like, and I've got it open. And I'm like, my gosh.
Like that nosy neighbor watching you bury something in your backyard.
And as it got closer to where you could literally see it, because there was a spot where there were no trees and you could really see it, I heard in my spirit, prepare for battle. And I was just like, what? And I saw the flashy light, and it went in front of the house. And as soon as I could no longer see the tank, the end of it all stopped. No more rumbling. No more flashy light. No more nothing. And I'm standing there like, what?
And I slept through it. We got invaded, and I didn't know it.
And I'm just like, and I heard it again. Prepare for battle. And there was like a peace that came over me. Like, I knew something was coming, but God was letting me know at that moment that I was going to be okay. I was going to go through something, but that I was going to be okay. He was going to take, he already took care of it. And so, I go back to bed and I didn't even, and I'm like, I tried to wake you up. And he's like, and then of course, for the next, however long it was from when that vision happened to Clint being born, I dove in to the Word. I was preparing myself for battle. I didn't know what kind of battle, so I was just filling myself up with the knowledge of my authority as a child of God. And so, obviously, when I went to have, went in for Clint, which we had scheduled a day, because, with Tristan, I had toxemia. And so, with the second child, they're like, we want to make sure that doesn't happen. So, we're going to, schedule it. And so, I had gone in for a scheduled induction. And I know that we chose the 20th for him to be born. I went in on the 19th. And he was born on the 20th. And there were issues in that, like the amount of pain, because he was a big boy, the amount of pain I would have with every contraction literally made me paralyzed. It would paralyze me. I'd be like, because it was so painful, and it was pinching his head, being the round melon it was when he was born, literally would like pinch a nerve, so I had no feeling in my legs, or from like my midsection. So ended up with the epidural because the doctor comes in and goes, well, he's kind of stressed, so it's either C-section or epidural. I said epidural, please, no C-section. And minutes later, he was born at 9-1, 19 3/4. So a little pigskin football. And it was at that moment, like, my heart rate went up to 165. Came down to what, like, it was between 155 and 165 continually. I just know that's what they said. And it didn't stop. I was in the hospital, the delivering hospital, for 3 days.
Yep.
Then they flew me to Dartmouth. And then they flew me to Tufts. And I never thought that I was going to die. I didn't, I wasn't like, oh no. There never was a point where I was in fear. I didn't allow that to happen because God already told me I was going to be fine. So, if anything, I got stronger in my knowing. Because you have to know that you know that you know. You cannot just know it. Although having it here to be able to speak it out so that you can hear yourself, to encourage yourself, is very important. But you have to know in your heart, which is in your spirit, that what you are saying, you're believing. And that you believe that what you've said. So, I knew that I knew that I knew that everything was going to be okay because God told me it would be. I wasn't capable of reading and going to church, and because it's in a hospital, heart pump, and then I don't remember. Did we go to church at all during that 6-month time? See, I don't remember.
Yeah, when you came home in July.
I don't remember. I know that March 20th, Clint was born. April 10th was the heart pump was put in. 3 months later, they put me on the heart transplant list. 3 months from that day, I received the heart transplant. It was 6 months from April 10th of '08 to October 10th of '08 was when I had the heart pump. Now, if you know anything about heart transplants, and this is the glory to God, because an average heart transplant patient waits 3 to 5 years for a heart. And then if you are O negative, which I am, then it's a 5 to 7 years. And that's what they told me. They told me, you're going to die. You're never going to see this heart transplant. You know, just be prepared to die. And I knew I wasn't going to die. Was I able to do physically? Was I able to do a lot of things? No. Mentally, was I able to do a lot of things? No. I had 2 strokes. Technically at that time. I had 1 stroke. I had a stroke when they put the heart pump in. And it was very difficult for me to read at that time. I had to learn to rewalk.
You got the large print Bible.
And the fact that those things were hard, if I didn't have God in me, if I hadn't put His Word in, if I hadn't filled myself up with the knowledge of my authority, I wouldn't have had it to draw from during that time. And that's the importance of knowing the Word, is so that when you hit the storm, when that hurricane comes, and when that storms of life hit you, it's in there already. You don't have to be scrambling going, where's that? I need this scripture. It's there. It's already in there, and you already know it, which is where I was at that time. I knew it was in there because God had already told me, so I had gotten prepared, and it was all in there. I knew I was going to be fine. I didn't know how. That's not my business, in the sense of I don't need to know the how God does things. All I need to know is that He does do things. You know, it's important that you know that God can, He will, and He does. And if you know that He can, and you believe He will, then He does. Because if you don't have the faith or the knowledge that He does, you don't know He will. And if you don't know He can, you're nowhere to begin with anyways. But that's where I was, at that time. There was I did have the CD player, playing constant healing scriptures, and like praise and worship music. So in my hospital room, I did have that, so I was at least able to hear it to help grow the faith or to encourage the faith I had. So I think that when you come out of, when you've gone through something like that, where you start to finish is all of 6 months.
Yeah, you're either going to go one way or the other. Either you're going to say, screw this and walk away, or you're going to go, okay, this works, and you're going to go for it.
So for me, it grew my faith, knowing, it used faith. So you got to be full of faith. And then when you're in a situation like that, it'll use faith, and your faith kind of, you have it, it's in there, but you've used it. So there is some drawing on it. That's why it's important to fill you back up. So when the transplant happened, the heart transplant happened, I was in faith, knowing that it was going to happen. So when it happens, it's a refreshing of faith, going, God did what He said He was going to do, and you fully believe that God's going to do that which He said He was going to do, which is what I was believing. And He did. That is that renewing of faith and going, look, I believed, and woo, here we go. It happened. And that, for me, was a confirmation of the importance of God and how important it is to fill yourself up. For me, that learning lesson would have been you have to be full. You cannot, at any point in time, decide you're just gonna not do something or not stay in faith, or you're not going to stay in line with God's word. You know, you don't go through the things that we've gone through and see God move and walk away from that. To me, they're coming from my aspect. I don't know about Scott, but coming from my point of view, knowing that I went through what I went through, and God, just say I went through it. I went through it physically, but God brought me through it, because I could not honestly tell you where I would be.
You've seen too much, and if you want to get out, we'll have to kill you.
It is. I've seen too much to not believe. And every time I've gone through things, God just shows me another level. Mm-hmm. So when you go through things and you fight battles, you come up another level. You come up another level where you realize there isn't anything that is impossible with God. So there were a lot of things that the heart transplant happened, and there was a lot of things that came in afterwards that were not good, that the devil does. He's always going to, there's a devil in this world, and his one goal is to get you off of God. Period. That is all he wants to do, is get you away from God. Separate you from the one who created you. You were created in God's image, and he puts you here. Everything else is under. The devil is under your feet because God rose you above it all. He didn't create angels in his image. He created you in his image, which means he created you to have the authority that he has. You have to be willing to find it. You have to be willing to look for it. You have to be willing to accept it. So after the transplant, I had a couple months, right?
Yeah, we had a couple of months
like
there.
3 months, because it was in October. So it was October, November, December, and January. About mid-January.
Yeah, we had a couple of good months there.
About mid-January, I started to get sick. And I was in a lot of pain. And it was like stomach, intestinal issues. Mm-hmm. And I don't say issues. Pain. Just flat out pain. Couldn't eat. Pain. Because my stomach just hurt. And not like an upset stomach hurt. Pain. And so they were
giving you some good drugs.
And that was when we found out about the CMV. So basically, like 90% of the world is born with, or has been exposed to this cytomegalovirus. And so they never used to test for it. It wasn't something that was tested for when I had my heart transplant. They test for it now. So
we aren't seeing any of those royalties.
It wasn't something that was tested for.
We should be. We should be getting all the royalties for a lot of stuff.
And so
need a better lawyer.
For the testing that they did, so they tested for it and they found, oh look, I did not have the CMV, which is what it was called. But my heart, they gave me, did. And so my body attacked my heart outside of the transplant side of things.
Well, basically your heart attacked your body.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Right.
I was sick.
Yeah, you have no idea.
So
there I was.
There was another level of faith. Because here I thought it was all over. And everything was going to be peachy.
Yeah,
and
then you come back and you're off the charts. You know, you got to have the record for everything.
Why not?
You're going to go big or go home.
when they tested to see how bad it was, they'd never tested as high as me. So, and they'd only ever had one person survive that had anywhere near the levels I had.
And we were also at that when they were changing the way they tested for it, so they didn't know. I don't think they had the right scale because they were in process of changing how they tested for it or what numbers were acceptable. So we were right on that.
Yeah, but even according to Darlene, even in the other side of things, as in even on the normal side or the original side of it, they'd never had anyone score that high.
Always got to be the overachiever in class.
Didn't you hear me? Score that high. That's a high score, man. Like 5 digits, I think is what she said.
Yeah, you had like 600,000 or some ridiculous number like that or something. Either way.
Anyways, the other person that they had who had the previous high score was a kidney transplant.
Yeah, and they lived, so
and so they were like, well, he had the previous high score and his was a kidney transplant, but I tripled his high score. So they really didn't know. They didn't even know how to treat me in the sense of how it wasn't like anyone had gone through this before. So they were just like, we're kind of just going, we think this is what we need to do. And so they took me off a whole bunch of immunosuppressants that I was on. So I ended up with one immunosuppressant, which is the immunosuppressant that I'm on now. And
they just took you off CellSapt.
Yeah, but from what they have said, like their thing is that no one is on just one immunosuppressant because there was the immunosuppressant that I'm on now, which is the tacrolimus or the Prograf. There was the CellSapt, and then you're on prednisone. I am only on one, and if you're on Prograf, then you're on prednisone. And many of the people that we met.
And if you remember, when we started this, you were going to have a new heart with no issues. So at some point, stop taking those meds. Mm-hmm. And maybe you'll live, maybe you won't.
I am on, okay, so if you're going to walk down that road, we'll go down the whole, clearly,
the rabbit
I'm okay.
hole.
Clearly I'm okay. I was on medication for the CMV, and they told me I was going to be on it for a very long time, the medication. I got infusions, which is chemotherapy of a form, comes in a lovely glass bottle, and I was on that from February until August.
Plastic beakers.
Of the same year. So February of 2009 to August of 2009 was the only treatment time I had, where there were people who were on it for months and months and months.
Then they switched you to the pill.
I was on the pill for like
years.
5 years or whatever. But if you want to go down the rabbit hole of where I am right now, is when I was, 17 years ago when I started on the medications for the heart transplant, I was on like 22 different medications. I have 6 prescription drugs right now. 6 from 22. So that is, and I thank God and believe God that I don't need those medications. And that's where my faith is. My faith is I don't need this medication, God. I thank you, Lord, that I'm going to take them, but I don't need them. And then it has come that the doctors have been like, oh, we can take you off this. Oh, we can take you off this. Oh, we can take you off this. So to go from 22 to 6 and like 3 supplements, and then I think I was on 18 medications, like prescribed medications, and 4 supplements, and I'm on 3 of those supplements still. Mm-hmm. But I'd rather take a supplement than a medication. So, where I sit now
is on a couch.
So after that, knowing...
No reaction.
Knowing what God has continually done for me when issues have arisen. I know where I stand. So when I had my tonsils out and the doctor calls and tells, Scott that, because I couldn't talk, tonsils out, tells him that they found lymphoma, and the doctor was just so solemn and so, I am so sorry. It's just like, it's this horrible thing. And I'm like, okay. He gave me a heart. You don't think he's going to take care of, lymphoma? And it's the same, it's that same, when you know that he did it before, and you just know he's going to do it, you have the faith. And it's not like you can't be going and living your life however you want and think that no matter what happens in your life, God's just going to take care of it. You have to be your diligent self as well. You have to, those who diligently seek him. So you have to be seeking God. You have to be following him and doing, following his word and what his word says, and searching him and going after God, and he takes care of you. Because there is a devil, and we live in a broken world, and stuff's going to happen. You have to choose God in every situation. You have to choose, listen, I'm going to go for God regardless. And way back when, I decided that if God said it, I believe it, and that's the end of it. So if God says that by Jesus' stripes I am healed, by Jesus' stripes you were healed 2,000 years ago, guess what? I were healed 2,000 years ago, so I'm healed. I'm just going to believe it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You keep talking for a minute. I go pee. It's my turn now. You can talk.
About what?
I don't know, the basics of... That's my testimony.
You skipped some stuff.
Well, maybe you should address it. Yeah.
You skipped the house burning down.
Oh.
And the struggle of building a house, being a... whatever you are. Need that little screen with the weird music playing. Yeah, so anyway, in amongst all that stuff from the CMV, we were going to Boston 3 times a week, like I said in mine. Then we got to the point where we didn't have to go to Boston 3 days a week. Trying to think what else was in that time frame. We were building the house, so yeah, so she was getting the infusions. We were doing them at home and building. We were doing the infusions in Tuftonboro while we were working on stuff in Effingham, where we were, I don't know how you put that, but we were building stuff in Effingham. We had sawmill set up, tractor. So we built a cabin that we was living in, and we got a camper for the winter. I think at that point, we were just about done with the CM.
But see, all that comes the heart transplant is before the house burning down. So technically, go into the house burning down. Now, did you talk about that?
I started, so now you can continue.
Well, where were you?
I'm trying to remember what kind of drugs and stuff we were dealing with while I was doing the house and you were... existing, basically.
Yeah, because I was fighting that. Was I? You were building the house while I was getting treatment?
Yeah, because you were getting drugs at home at the Tuftonboro house.
Yep.
And I was in Effingham doing stuff, and we were having people watch you because you needed it.
See, I can't.
You needed an adult.
But that's the thing is I can't bring on that because I don't remember.
It wasn't that much fun, so.
I don't remember, like, people coming in watching me. I don't remember that. So I remember you doing the meds. I don't remember.
Yeah, so anyway, you can fast forward to you were healed and we were still building the house.
We were building the house. I actually helped with some of that. I was able to, like, he put stuff in and he's like, well, we need to plane the boards. I planed the boards. It was something I could do because, you know, I could fit between the joists and I could stand there and it held me up while I planed the boards.
Yeah, ran the hand planer across the joists to flatten them out so that the floor would sit flush.
Well, yeah, because the joints were a little off because it's rough sawn wood. Mm-hmm. So, but I do remember doing that.
You drove the tractor
with Clint a lot. So the thing is that even after
rode the 4-wheeler through the mud
and got stuck lots of times. So much fun.
Hey, some of the best times we had were being.
Yes, actually, I was
unemployed.
Yep, that was
living off grid.
I think living off grid. I think so many people don't know what living off grid really means. But yeah, there was a time where the only electricity we had was when we had a generator going.
Yeah, and first we had that inverter that you hook onto the car battery.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, that's what we started with.
I just remember we never had running water. And the house had electricity, but I don't remember for how long, because I remember...
Before the ground froze.
I knew we put the pipes in for that. We put the wires in the ground and the pipes.
And the conduit.
Yeah. So, I remember that. I don't remember digging holes or anything like that, but I remember, but probably when the house burnt down, I think it was not that it wasn't devastating. Don't get me wrong. There's a difference between having it bother you in different ways. There was a lot of work involved. You cut down trees, we pulled out logs. There's the craft of the home. We built a home by cutting down trees, milling out logs, and then nailing it all together, building a house. And there's a difference between the loss of that versus the loss of our animals, our pets. Because to me, that was the most difficult, was losing Rain and Skittles and Ernie. And to me, Rain, it was, Skittles, because I had Skittles from birth. Like, I had Skittles at that point in time. Clint was 3, okay? And I had Skittles from when Bailey, my first Jack Russell Terrier, had her as a puppy. So I had Skittles longer than Scott and I had even been together. At that time. And Clint was 3. So that was probably the hardest thing for me, was that. Because in my mind at that time, it's all just stuff. I was never concerned about getting stuff back or replacing stuff or the home, or that was something I couldn't replace. Just like with Tristan, the biggest issue was Ernie, and the cat and the dog and the bunny rabbit, because those are things you cannot replace. You can buy new stuff. You can build another house, whether you'd want to or not. That's not what I'm talking about. The point is, it's replaceable. But that was probably the hardest thing I had to deal with. And right off the bat, when we were told, because we were at church, when we were told, immediately I refused to go into the negatives of that. I immediately went into quoting scripture. At that moment, I just was quoting scripture. I don't even know who was there. I remember hearing it. And then, because I was in children's church that day, I remember hearing it. And then I just remembered that whatever was going to come out of my mouth was going to be something from the Word. Because I didn't want to sow negativeness, and I didn't want to sow something I didn't want to reap. And that was where I was at that time. And we'd been through so much stuff with, me personally and everything that I didn't want to open any vein of receiving something I didn't want. I wasn't gonna say anything that was contradicted what I believed. And I remember, the first night we stayed at Rose's. Mm-hmm. The first night. And, we had wonderful people. We stayed with a slew of different people. And I thank God for the friendships and relationships that we had and that grew during those time frames. But I do know that just because you don't understand why someone would do something, because we do live in a broken world, and we live in a world with other people who do bad things. It's their choices. And just because someone chooses to do something bad you cannot blame God. When people choose to do things that are bad, a lot of people are out there going, well, how could there be a God? And He allows this and He allows that. Does God control you? Because if God doesn't control you and you do as you please, what makes you think that He is controlling other people? Not that He can't. But He made us with a mind, will, and emotions all our own, which means He made you with a choice. He wants you to choose good, and He wants you to choose the right, and He wants you to choose Him. As much as you have a choice to do what you want to do in your life, good or bad, wrong or right, the same choices other people have to do bad things or good things. It is a choice. I refuse to blame God for the house burning down because somebody made a choice to burn our house down because of jealousy and because of anger. I'm not going to blame God because people are broken and blame God for being broken. I would be no better than the person who made the bad choice. Someone who burnt the house down was jealous and angry. Jealous of us and angry with God. And so, where does that put me if I decide I'm going to be angry with God for allowing someone to make a bad choice? Because if I get angry with God, then I'm choosing to be angry with God. He's not stopping me. And then anger is going to lead to choices that are not good.
Vengeance is mine,
saith the Lord. So that's where I sit. Because I'm not going to be angry with God when people have choices and people make bad choices. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in this world, a lot of stuff recently. And a lot of people say, why did God allow this? Or why did God do this? Why did, he let someone do that? He doesn't let people. It's a choice. He lets everyone choose. And if you don't want God controlling your life, what are you even asking? Because if you don't want God to control your life and be a puppet and a muppet and just do what you're...
Do whatever you want.
And you...
Do whatever I want and get away with it, badge.
The point is that everyone has choices, good or bad. And you have the free will to make a choice, which means everybody else has free will to make a choice. So bad exists because people choose to be selfish. People choose to do what they want, regardless of what it's going to do to others. Murderers and serial killers and rapists, and they're doing these things because they want to, and it makes them feel good. And if you are advocating for people to do things that make them feel good, you are advocating for that. And you're, oh no, Billie-Sue, that's not what I mean. I think if it makes, if it's safe and you can do it. No, that's not how it works. It is either all or nothing. You cannot pick and choose what is okay and what is not. Either you have a moral ground and your standings are either this is right and this is wrong.
I'm wrong.
Or it's anybody's game. You cannot say, it's not okay for you to say this because it hurt my feelings, but it's okay for you to say things regardless if it hurts someone's feelings. What?
You're off track.
I'm not off track. I am speaking as to what is in my spirit.
Okay.
I know where I am.
Okay.
Remember what we were talking, what Tara was talking about today in church. It's your turn for that.
Hey, you mean to me? And now it's my turn to be mean to you.
No, that thing that she said she had to do afterwards. That's your turn. So.
Be transparent.
I forgive you. So after the house burnt down,
the house transplant.
Yeah, right. I mean, God did amazing things. The house, we lost the house, and then God gave us an amazing home that we were at for nearly 10 years. And because of that wonderful gift, and what I mean by that are people like, oh, but you bought it. We bought it. And we bought it with no money down, with no nothing. Our realtor did not take any paycheck. He didn't get paid for anything.
Low interest rate.
Yeah, low interest. We didn't get paid. We didn't have to pay anything. It was all chosen because these people wanted us to have this house. And that's God. That you don't have, at least where we came from, the buyers pay all the closing costs. We had no money. So the sellers paid their portion, and our realtors didn't take any commission. They didn't take their paycheck so that they could pay for our closing costs and everything that was needed and that was necessary for us to get that house. And then the payment was an amazing payment.
It started out affordable.
COVID made things change, but the point is that what we bought the house for to what we sold the house for was worth 3 times more. Mm-hmm. In 9 years. So when we sold that, there was enough money to be able to buy the school outright. So we're here. We don't have a mortgage because that's what God told us to do. We why did we come here? We came here because God said, go to Wisconsin. And he said, move to Wisconsin. And why did we buy a school? Because God said, buy that school and don't have a mortgage. So here we are. And then he said, you need to have a podcast. You need to do a YouTube channel where you tell people and show people what I have done for you. Where we are and what we've gone through. God's the only reason that we have what we have, or that we even got through what we went through. Because I don't know where I would be without God. I don't know, as in I wouldn't have been able to do any of it without God. If we're really even going to go with that, at 16 I should be dead. I'm just saying. At 16, I should have died. I should have been dead. So, but because God's God, and I have him in my life, because I knew how great a God he was early on, and I listened and obeyed his word. I obeyed his voice. I heard his voice. I obeyed his voice. I'm here. That's the extent of it. It's not like you. I know you had to. Was that a fun roller coaster ride you went on? Just inquiring minds want to know.
Could have moved to Alaska.
Could have, but that's not where he wanted us to be. We tried.
Could have been renting out the Unabomber shack out there in the middle of nowhere in Montana.
If we wanted to disobey God, if we wanted to go where we wanted to go, we would have a compound in Alaska. What was that, like a 50-acre piece of land with those like 4 different cabins on it? Yeah, if we wanted to disobey God and do what we wanted to do, we'd be there.
Could have bought that piece of property on the ocean, looking across the bay at Anchorage.
Yep.
With no access.
What was the one that was on that island, or you had to use the ferry to get to? Was that one?
No. There was the one on the other side of the lake that you couldn't get to, but they plowed roads on the lake.
Right.
In the wintertime.
Wow. My testimony time frame is nowhere near as long as yours. We're at an hour and a half. I'm not even close to yours.
I'm just cooler than you.
You made it go away, so I don't have, I had a thought process, and I was going with the Spirit, and you had to jut in, and then it was gone. They get to blame you for that one. If there was something I didn't finish, you blame him. Is there anything else you would like to talk about?
The fact that you're special needs.
I mean, I know I'm special. And everybody needs me, so.
Whatever helps you sleep at night, sweetheart.
Clearly helps you sleep at night.
You're just jealous I sleep at night.
I sleep at night when you're not snoring or choking on your tongue or, I don't know, trying to juggle marbles in your throat.
But I sleep. And I wake up refreshed.
I don't say I don't wake up refreshed. There's a difference between getting good night's sleep and waking up okay. You think you controlling the rocking is...
Waiting for you to...
Why would I do that? I'm not stupid.
No, you're just slow.
I'd rather be slow than stupid.
Mm-hmm.
At least I don't have to tell God, make it evident because I'm stupid. This is us. This is it. This is it. We're just real, tangible people. Yep.
At least I put my pants on one leg at a time.
What do you think I do?
You put them with both legs in and then jump into them.
I don't think so, but okay. Would you like to talk about anything else?
No, I don't think so. You need a more exciting life. You got a whole nother hour to catch up.
I mean, I could talk about things that have happened in my life, but it's not part of my, quote unquote testimony. I mean, I probably have other things that are, I just don't remember them. I mean, I have had 2 strokes. I had a stroke when they put the heart pump in, and a stroke when they put the heart in. And, there were some damage done by that, which I thank God is not as bad as it could be. I had to relearn how to walk, and, I had to relearn some things, but it could have been a whole heck of a lot worse, and there may have been some issues that were really bad at the beginning that is just continually better and better. Better, better, better. I mean, my brain isn't as bad off as it used to be. So. Mm-hmm. Is there something else you'd like to talk about?
I don't think so. Why? What do you have in mind?
I was just asking you if you had anything else.
I don't think so.
We were just...
Also?
I could go into things and just life and things that I've experienced through God. But I don't know if it is relevant in, okay, so, you talked about seeing Mary Frances Farallo.
Mm-hmm.
And that was your first experience. And
scary.
My first experience with Mary Frances Farallo was I was sitting probably 4th or 5th row back from the front, and it was Kelly and myself, and she was talking with people, and if you don't know, she's in the realm of prophecy, and so there were things that she was talking to people about. She stopped next to my sister and said, "You need to be careful who you marry." And then she just walks off. And even though it wasn't said to me, I took it to heart. That's something that I remember, in myself. And I'm like, oh, wow, and it changed Kelly at that moment where she addressed a certain situation. But I didn't see it the same way she did. I saw it like I had to be careful who I married, no matter who I was dating or when it was the person I just sort of chose to marry. I had to make sure that person was the right person. I needed to know that I knew that was the right person, which is
how you ended up with me.
How I ended up with you. It was just because I had brought it to God, and I was like, God, whoever it is, you need to tell me. I need to know that's the person. So when it came to you, I mean, I dated lots of people, and I hate to say it like that, but I mean, I went on dates with several different people, and I knew by the second date if they were the right person or not.
Just say it. I'm perfect.
When I met you, and I
say it.
And you are not perfect. You are far from perfect, but you are perfect for me.
Exactly. I'm perfect. I heard you say it. You're perfect.
For me. But I got on lots of dates with different people, and it was actually, at one point in time, I was told by people, certain peoples, that, I was being a hoe because I would meet someone, they'd ask me out, we'd go on a date, I wouldn't date, and I wouldn't see them again. Because I asked God to reveal things to me. I asked God to tell me yes or no in my spirit. So if I went out with someone and I felt uncomfortable in any way, or it felt wrong, I just didn't see the person again. So
or creepy.
It didn't matter what it was. If it wasn't right in my heart, there is no point. If you are not going to go out with someone with the intent of marriage in mind, you have no right dating. Because the whole point of dating is to be with someone permanently. That's marriage. So if you have no desire to be in marriage with anyone, you have no right to be dating or to even be in a relationship with someone. Because that's not how God intended it. Especially if you are a Christian. If you are not ready for marriage, you're not ready for any relationship. Because the outcome of every relationship is marriage. That's how God says it. You're not meant to be dating this person or even engaged to someone for 10 years. That's not how it works. That's not what God's outcome is for you. The outcome is marriage. And if you don't want marriage, don't be dating. Don't be in a relationship with people. And so to me, and I got that revelation very early on, and I told God, my intent, I wanted to find someone to marry to spend the rest of my life with, who was a godly man. And so when I would go out with someone, we'd go out for dinner, like we'd go have dinner somewhere, or we'd go get coffee, or maybe we'd meet at the mall and walk around the mall and talk. But I knew by the second time I met them if it was a relationship worth pursuing or not. Because if the outcome wasn't marriage, if I didn't see this person as someone I could be with for the rest of my life, then there was no point in pursuing any type of relationship. I'm just being honest. If you're not going to look at your relationships, a relationship as marriage is the end goal, because I don't want to get married. I have no desire to get married. You should be dating then. Because that's not how it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to just go, you're not supposed to date this person for 6 months or a year or 2 years, and then this person over here for 2 years, 3 years, or this one over here for 2 or 3. You're not supposed to just, and if you're going to be with someone for more than 3 or 4 years, then marriage is the answer. And if you don't want to marry them, they're not for you. So when you first start into a relationship, it should be a marriage, goal. And if you don't want to get married, don't date. As believers, it's supposed to be a union. It's supposed to be a partnership and a relationship where it's a togetherness. And God never intended you to have multiple partners. It's supposed to be, I don't like the whole term one and done, but it's supposed to be you're in a relationship with someone and that's the person you're supposed to marry. And if you're not looking for marriage, don't be looking for a relationship. It's not fair to the other person, because if that other person is looking for marriage and you're not, you need to be open about that. And I knew when I met you that you were it. And I fought it. There was a time I fought it, and you know it. Because at one point in time, I couldn't do it. I couldn't handle somebody's mommy. Because of the negativeness and because of the degrading. I couldn't do it. And so I was like, dude, your mom is, I can't. But then I couldn't live without him. Because I knew he was who I was. I was out of obedience. God told me he was it. And then when I broke it off because of his mom, the amount of, I can't even explain it, because I felt like a disobedient child. And all I wanted to do was be with him. I literally just wanted to sit with him. I wanted to spend time with, even if we didn't talk, even if we were just sitting like this is all I wanted. He didn't have to talk to me. He didn't have to, we could go to the movies, which we went to 2 movies when we were dating. And we're very clean folks. We went and saw kids' movies.
I like cartoons.
Yeah, so don't I. But, like, to me, there was no, as long as I was with him, it didn't matter. Like, we would go places I didn't even want to go, or I had no interest in or never thought of before. And as long as I was with him, it didn't matter. Because that's all I wanted, was to just be in his presence.
See how it is. You just want me for my body.
I wanted to be in his presence, is what I said. And when I said goodbye because of your mom, I felt like I cried. I broke up with him. I cried. Like I had lost some part of me. Like I had lost a family member that I had been, had known my entire life. And I'd known him for like 3 months. And it was like a part of me was missing. Because when I went into this relationship, I was looking at the rest of my life person. I know you're not like that. I know you were just like, shiny.
Wow.
No, I know that when I broke up with him, he was devastated because he was drunk a lot, according to his best friend. he found peace in a bottle.
Why are you mean to me? Why don't you go answer the door?
Fine, I'll go answer the door.
Jeez. It's not very nice.
Are you talking still?
No.
We can say goodbye.
Hey, those are my work ones.
I need them. It's imperative.
Yeah, but I gotta work tomorrow.
Well, you're getting back.
You'll get him back. She's just gonna.
I know how to use them.
Okay. Okay. So are we?
Do you want to be done?
We can be done. I could be an hour short of yours.
I'm hungry.
We ate already. Are you looking for snack? All right. Well, hopefully somebody gets something out of this. and not just laughing at us inappropriately. But I would hope that it's not as grand as his. I grew up in God. So for me,
Just because I struggled more doesn't mean it's better.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that...
Or longer, because...
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that sometimes the testimony is different, shorter, doesn't seem as grand because I grew up in it. I already had it in me, and I was just refining it. Whereas your testimony is getting it in you and growing it and refining it. And for me, it was just, burning off the chaff type of deal.
Burning something.
Probably load up the stove. We are looking for a wood stove to put exactly where we are sitting in our room here because we're on the little so this is the outside wall for us.
We're on the corner of the school that gets almost, actually, we get sunlight in the morning.
Very little.
Not like over there where they don't get any.
Any at all. Yeah, but their room is warmer.
Because they got windows.
Yeah, we get the one scary little... Did you already take the stuff out of the window here?
I don't have to. I just closed the window.
Oh, you didn't? You weren't going to take it out?
No.
You got to take it out of the living room, though, because we want the sunlight from that one.
What if I don't want it?
I mean, I can take it out. She just may not be happy with what I do. All right. Well, I think I'm done. If you have any questions, reach out. I don't know if anyone has commented on anything, but it's been weird lately. It says there's a comment on one of our things.
I was able to get it.
Okay.
Somebody said they had blueberry jalapeno jelly before and it was good.
Oh. Well, maybe we'll try that because we have both blueberries and jalapenos.
I think that ground cherry one would be good because it's so sweet. I'll have to wait till next year.
I mean, he can try it.
Just stick with the what? Make another batch.
So, but yeah, sometimes it's weird and doesn't come through, and for some reason
That one didn't.
I'm not getting like notifications all that often, so you can always like put a couple comments. We'll eventually find you, I promise. But if you have any questions...
Well, that one took me a week to figure out how to open it because it's in the settings in the thing, and I figured it out finally. Because,
You're a little slow.
Not tech savvy like all the cool kids are now.
So...
We still have to have the boy program stuff.
All right. I think we're done.
Think we're done?
I think we're done. Again, if you have questions or whatnot, just reach out.
Or if you have podcast equipment you want to get rid of because you're upgrading, we'll gladly take your hand-me-downs.
We're good seed. Or we're good ground. It'd be a good seed. So...
I think that's it.
We love you all, and we will...
Yeah, we'll probably put up more videos this week, because Clint's got to make stuff, and probably in the next week or two, we'll start doing some more once the wood's in.
Yeah, it kind of takes time.
Yeah, because nobody wants to watch us split wood and throw it in the back of the red Jeep and then stack it. That's pretty boring. We can figure out how to do time lapse. It might be cool, but...
Well, you just don't... Well, you have to ask Tristan, but I'm pretty sure you just film it and then you put it in a speed that goes faster.
Yeah, I can't do that on mine.
Oh. Okay.
Because I tried doing time lapse and it didn't look like anything. It just looked like me rototiller in the garden at the regular speed. So.
Okay.
Anyway, let's see if the button works.
Bye.
See you later.
Love you guys. We'll see you next time.
No.
Button doesn't work. I see stuff.